What TV trope was common in the not-so-distant past but is completely unacceptable today? I have doubts that a clip show episode would do well these days. These used to be made to pad out your episodes without a big budget cost, but shows are increasingly getting written and budgeted around how many episodes the story needs and not how many they need to fill every time slot that season. Game show hosts kissing female contestants on the lips. Jokes about spousal abuse. Very special episodes where characters meet life-altering situations, drug addictions, teen pregnancy, gun violence, and then are back to being carefree the next episode. Rapey men. It's crazy how common it was, in 70s sitcoms, for a girl to be saved from a rapey guy when her friend/roommate dropped in early. And it was never a big deal. The guy was just scolded for not being a gentleman and then sent on his merry way because hey, boys will be boys. Not, just, to piggyback onto /you/fat kid in molasses, but rape as character development, for a female character. It was a very common trope with soap operas. Luke and Laura on General Hospital were moved into a relationship because he raped her on the floor of his nightclub. Cricket Blair, nice but vapid teen model on The Young and the Restless, became Christine Blair, law student, when she was raped in her apartment. Marty Saybrook on One Life to Live was portrayed as a spoiled, snotty, and, heavens to Betsy, promiscuous party girl who was upset the town's pastor wouldn't date her. After being gang raped on the show, her character became a psychiatrist. Brooke Logan Forrester from The Bold and the Beautiful was set up to be raped by a man hired by her own former mother-in-law, in order to set up a truce between Brooke and her mother-in-law. And so on, for decades. The irony is not lost on me that soap operas were women's entertainment. I gotta say, I went back and watched some episodes of A-Team, and those scenes of Hannibal disguising himself as a Chinese laundromat operator made me choke on my drink. Smoking. Not too a serious one, but I don't watch much TV, but are they still making light of head injuries and its selective amnesia properties? I swear Lex Luthor in Smallville should have a brain the consistency of watered down pudding by the end of the series. The flamboyant gay character where their sexuality is either intended for the audience to laugh and make fun of, it becomes a joke with other characters. One of these days, pow. Right in the kisser. And, bang, zoom, you're going to the moon, Alice. The Honeymooners. The underage, played by an adult actress, neighbor/daughter's classmate wearing skimpy outfits. The contentious wife/husband trope like Al and Peg Bundy. The magical Negro trope, where a black character exists only to help a white character, is now widely seen as unacceptable in TV shows. Leggy blondes on game shows. Black women, if they were even cast, were usually relegated to obscure roles like maids. One of the first TV shows with a prominent black woman was Star Trek, which featured Nichelle Nichols, Uhura, as a bridge officer. It is said that Nichelle Nichols' performance inspired Whoopi Goldberg to pursue acting, so it is quite fitting that Goldberg landed a recurring role, Guinan, in Star Trek: The Next Generation. Casual sexism. Things like The Little Rascals, where the boys have cap guns, slingshots, BB guns, various weapons. Probably wouldn't fly as much in any kids show nowadays. First season of MASH, and I'm a huge MASH fan, but there was a black doctor whose nickname was Spear Chucker. Cringe then, cringe now, not to mention all the nurse grabbing. They'd, rightly so, never get away with it today. Fat jokes, and calling normal-sized women fat. I recently watched episodes of The Nanny in which Niles calls Cece fat constantly, or of House, MD, in which House refers to Cuddy having a big ass. In no world was Lauren Lane considered large, or did the extremely slender Lisa Edelstein have a big butt. Making fun of trans people. Gay people too, but the trans thing was seen as acceptable as recently as 10 years ago. Comedic town drunk. Think Otis from the Andy Griffith Show. Blackface. Fat jokes. We're rewatching Home Improvement from the 90s and there were so many fat jokes. No way those would fly today. A fully white cast. Now you can't even do that in period films/shows, everything's got to look like a Benetton ad. The types of jokes that primetime sitcoms would make about trans people was wild. Just casually dropping trans slurs in a way that was kinda like, yeah well that's just what they're called. I remember a few moments like that in How I Met Your Mother and Friends specifically. Do laugh tracks count? Those need to die. If your show isn't funny without goading the audience into knowing when you did something intended to be funny, it's lame. I was watching Three's Company with my mom and there was actually a lot to like about it. The main thing I clocked was that I was laughing hard at John Ritter being exceptional at acting, while the studio audience only found Mr. Roper's gay jokes to be that funny. Homophobia/transphobia. Extremely common in comedies, even ones which are now considered to be classics. More recent comedies such as Friends used to have homophobic and biphobic jokes quite regularly. Quicksand, rattlesnakes, and grappling hooks. Being mislabeled as gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that from Seinfeld. We recently started rewatching Will and Grace, and it's crazy how often the joke is Will is gay, and here's clever wordplay about him being gay. Fraser with the trope of both he and his brother Niles, played by a gay man, are considered gay by other people. They pulled that trope over and over again to huge laughs. Gay as an insult jokes. My wife and I have been rewatching King of Queens, and every once in a while a character jokes that another one is gay as a derogatory thing and we comment every time that didn't age well. Gay relationships or same-sex kissing. Guys forcing themselves on girls or without consent, remember 16 Candles. Jokes that today would be deemed too edgy or too offensive to broadcast. Mentions of suicide, self-harm etc. Words like Negro or colored, all in the family. Casts, ads or news shows that didn't include any African Americans. Funny drunks, this is Carlton your doorman. Constant fat shaming, especially of women. The gay best friend, always male, who we never see dating or doing anything else but living for the female lead. I do like when SATC broke this when Stanford got a hot boyfriend. Or the time he cussed Carrie out for always talking about herself and never asking about his life. Domestic violence a la the Honeymooners to the Moon, Alice, to the Moon. Men being complete morons that can't even iron a shirt without ruining it.